From the racing capital of the world, Indianapolis, Indiana, welcome to yet another fantastic episode and the latest in the greatest spectacle in podcasting, the Seventh Gear Overrev Show, presented to you by our great friends and partners over at KrausMeats.com, makers of those artisan handcrafted meats and sausages, always top quality since 1923. Just remember that now that the summer grilling season is over, it's time to turn your attention to the holiday gift giving season, and there's no better place to get yours than Kraus Meats. So go to KrausMeats.com, check out their complete line of offerings as well as their new lower prices for all those holiday gift giving needs. And let's also not forget our great friends and partners over at Dick Carriers and RespectYourPackage.com, makers of ultra high end men's premium underwear complete with ball bustier technology. Yes, that's a real thing. And if you go there and put in your discount code RESPECT7, which is the number 7, RESPECT7 as your promo code, you will get 20% off of your entire order. So respectyourpackage.com and Dick Carriers, respectfully scandalous and unapologetic. All right, Seventh Gear Overhead fans, you are all racers in one way, shape, or form. And have we got a fantastic guest for you today? This guy is a racer. He's been in and around it since he was a little kid, like many of us. So I know he gets it. And he's trying to help you get it as well. And when I say get it, that means sponsorship money, because that's the lifeblood of this sport, right? So joining us on this week's episode, our new friend of the show, a burgeoning new web development business built for racers, the one and only Mr. Kelly Flieger. Kelly, welcome to Seventh Gear Overrev, my friend. Thanks for coming on the show today. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing awesome today. It's been a good day of getting some stuff done. Had a chance to talk to a couple drivers over the weekend that I enjoyed talking to, and it's been a good time.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear things are going well. I mean, you kind of came on our radar a few months ago, and we were just talking about this off air. You know, the whole thrust of this week's episode and having Kelly on is he's kind of sort of reframing things in terms of motorsports marketing, whether you're looking at go-kart racing like his son is, micro sprints, dirt cars, stock cars, you name it. It's all about your web presence, not necessarily so much social media, although we're going to talk about that. But one of the things that really caught my attention with Kelly is he made a post, and I think racers get all too distracted with this these days with the push to be regular on social medias and, post regularly and all these things. And they think that if they just post enough, it's going to go viral. Then the phone is just going to start ringing, and they forget about the importance of your story. They forget about the importance of meeting people face to face, looking them in the eye, having that handshake, establishing that relationship. And I know, Kelly, you're a big proponent of that, and that's really what stuck out to me. Is that something that's really been a big kind of thrust for the people that you're engaging with, potential clients, as well as the clients that you've already signed?
Oh yes, definitely. I know what post you're referring to. It's the one where I talked about if anyone's standing around your trailer in the pit area, to make sure you go up and say hi to them and connect with them, because you never know if that's a new burgeoning fan or a possible sponsor looking to sponsor people. I personally have walked around garage areas looking for partners to partner with, and the ones who come up and come up and greet me, I've had some really positive conversations with. But you never know who is walking through that garage area and what they might be able to help with.
Well, and I feel like too, in all of my driving days, it's like you literally can't take anybody for granted. And I wish that young drivers, by and large, had the benefit of our experience, because they don't realize the missed opportunity until well after it's been missed, and then they wish they would have had that time back. But how you're kind of structuring things, let's say, is the
Mm-hmm.
importance of your website, because you and I had this conversation as well. Everything's great. You can post all you want on Facebook and X and Twitch and TikTok and all this other stuff, but everybody is doing that. So how do you stand out? And what happens when, the algorithm kind of boots you out because you either posted at the wrong time or you didn't post engaging enough content, or for whatever reason? Here's where you come in, right? It's like you got to have that
Yes.
home base that people can relate to. It's literally your brag book, so to speak.
Right. And the idea is that your website is your central piece. The social media is how you draw people to yourself, but your website then becomes the place where you can point those warm relationships to for sponsorship information, merchandise sales, um, even just your news and results, so that fans can follow. Although most of my focus and my clients' focuses so far have been trying to gain additional sponsorships to their race programs. So we have been focused on that a lot on some of these sites that I work with. Now I have a couple clients coming up. They have large social media followings and merchandise sales that we're going to then bring that in house for them, so they have a central place with all their social media channels to start bringing them all into one place to make the merchandise sales more streamlined for them, because right now they're chasing down checks, or they're chasing down Venmo payments, or anything of that nature, and we're trying to make the process more simplistic for them.
I gotcha. So now you kind of decided to really take this leap of faith and go all in on P1 web development, right? But it seems that, at least in early returns, are that it was a gamble worth taking, because it seems like it's starting to pay off and you've got a pretty good pipeline going on. What actually steps, I shouldn't say steps, but what actually got you to the point of saying, okay, it's time to shit or get off the pot and go for it?
Oh, that's a good way to put it. So, I've actually been running P1 web development for 8 years now, trying to do local businesses. And all along, I always wanted to have the racing side of things be a part of it, but I never let it be the primary, because I wasn't sure. Um, I was probably more unsure of myself in reality than I was of the market and the marketability of it. So about, I want to say 5 months ago, I sat down and was like, this isn't working. My company's not making enough money. And I gave myself 90 days to figure this out. And oh my goodness, if you would have told me that I would have the response from the racing community that I have had, I would have said you were nuts. The connections I have been able to build, the sites I've already been able to build, the pipeline of drivers and teams that I have already coming up, um, the response has been a little overwhelming. So I still have my local clients that I work with, but the vast majority already, I have as many racing clients as I do local clients, that took 7 years to build on the local side. In 90 days to 4 months, I built just as many racing websites, um, since,
Wow.
especially over the last 2 to 3 months.
So it's fair to say that you're busier than a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest right now, I'd say, huh?
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
That's a good
And
problem
and
to have.
I'm
That's like having a roster of too many 300 hitters.
correct. And I'm excited about all the different types of sites I'm building. Um, I I just, man, I tell you, I gave myself 90 days to figure this out, and somehow I figured it out, and figured out how to use LinkedIn and how to use Facebook to grow and add clients and talk to people, and just I have had more one-on-one conversations with amazing drivers, some team owners, a couple CEOs that I just connected with on LinkedIn, that are racing people, that they sponsored their own drivers and stuff, and I've just had one-on-one conversations with them just for the hell of it, and it's been amazing.
That's cool. And even if they wind up not becoming clients, you've got another connection, potentially another friendship. And who knows,
Mm,
as we talked earlier about, engaging with that person that comes to your car or your hauler or whatever, because you never know what that can turn into. So
correct.
here's one of the questions for you. Obviously, you're having great conversations. Your client list is growing almost faster than you can keep up with at this point. But it's more than just the business side of things, right? I mean, it's more than,
Mhm.
yes, I have to earn money. I have to have that purpose and that ROI for my own family. It's a philosophy, right? It's the storytelling, it's the relationship building, even if whether that includes networking or not, obviously that's a help. But in the conversations that you've had so far with potential clients, have the majority of them kind of gotten where you're coming from in terms of your philosophy? And have you had to have any hard conversations with people that just don't get it?
So far, the people that I have really talked to, they have gotten on board with the thematic of what I'm trying to build and teach. Um, for example, one of my clients is a former U.S. Marine. So I wove his military story into his website, and not just a section on an about page. It's woven throughout, including the sponsorship prospectus side, where we have a page that lays out what the sponsors get. His military background is woven even into that page. So I actually had another client come up and say, "I love what you did on that site. We want to focus on the family aspect of our team. So when I go to build their site, I'm going to work in how it's a family operation. They've been running tour modified style cars since the late 80s and 90s. So I get to delve into these people's lives, and we become friends along the way, and it's so rewarding because I love the motorsports community. There are so many great people involved in it, and so many
Right.
great stories just to sit and listen to. So
Exactly.
that's why I've enjoyed what I'm doing, and that's where it brings so much more of what I desire to have in a company. It comes out in what I make.
That's a really good point. And the other thing I think is really interesting about your story, Kelly, is that now I mean, you've been around motorsports forever, but now you
Mhm.
also kind of see it from a little different viewpoint because your son is running in an indoor karting league and now you're looking for sponsorship. And so you're encountering all those things and I'm imagining the conversations that you're having with your existing clients are things that you can glean some nuggets from that help you, come full circle with trying to help your son's racing program grow too. Is that fair to say?
Yes, absolutely. Brady, my son, is has aged out of the indoor kart racing that he's been doing here, so we are moving out to an outdoor karting with an LO206 four-stroke engine. So we need some funds to do that. So yeah, I'm hunting for sponsorship. So a lot of times when I'm having the conversation with the race teams, they ask me what I'm doing, I ask them what they're doing, and we kind of like brainstorm some new ideas along the way. And a lot of times I use my knowledge of what I'm trying to do to build my son's racing program in order to then take some of those ideas and give them to say a micro sprint driver who is looking to continue to build their program and get new sponsorship.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And that's honestly, that's a win-win for everybody, right? It's like you give back in more than one way. You're teaching, people are being impacted all the way along the line. Now, one of the things that I'm always curious about, and you kind of touched on it, the importance and the stress about kind of your home base being the website. But yet
Hmm.
so many people focus on all the social media stuff. And you talked about how you really are gaining a lot of traction on LinkedIn. You've kind of figured out Facebook. Where do you see the folks that you've in your research and your conversations with people they're dropping the ball in terms of their social media approach?
Oh, the what I call the post and run. That's where people are missing out, where they just make a post and then run away and do not engage with anybody who comments on it. Um, then they don't even go out and comment and share and engage on other people's posts that can bring in additional traffic to their posts and their profile.
All right, so we talk about the post and run where they just set a post and think everything's going to be great and the sky is just going to start raining gold coins and dollar bills for their race program.
Right.
But what winds up in your experience is the key to a productive social media calendar, shall we say?
It's adding in posts and tagging people is what most people do. And while that is important to make sure that's a piece of it, there's what's called a commenting strategy out there that can be heavily utilized to not only bring in prospective fans, but also prospective sponsors, depending upon who you're talking to and commenting on their posts. So I've ironically I've seen some people poo-poo the commenting strategy, but I can tell you I've tested it and it works. So my Facebook profile maybe gets 10 to 15, 20 views in a day. All right, let's just say organically it just gets that. And I can post as many times as I want and it'll maybe go up to 30 or 40. But if I go out and I spent and I've experimented this on 3 different occasions where I've spent 2 to 3 hours going through commenting on posts from all the other race teams and people I follow, I have gotten up as high as 300 to 400 profile views in that time frame on that day. So that commenting
What?
strategy really, yeah, it's amazing how much it changes how many people show up to your profile. And then when they're on the profiles, they can see the stuff that you have pinned at the top. So that's how I've been able to gain new conversations with potential clients, potential race teams, because I comment on the race teams all the time. Like, oh my gosh, the new shop looks amazing. Keep up the great work. Proud of you guys. Just stuff like that. Then all of a sudden, like I've watched my profile views skyrocket on the days that I have done that versus days that I don't.
Okay, so now you're blowing my mind right now here, Kelly. But so
Okay.
now I really want to dig into this a little bit more. But before we kind of continue that conversation, seventh year over fans, conversations like this happen on this show all the time, and we would love for you guys to share this with your friends, like us, rate us, review us. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the latest from the greatest spectacle in podcasting. We are trying to grow this YouTube channel. We're at about 33 subscribers right now. You see that number down there at the bottom? We're shooting for 1,000. So if you can continue to put the word out, spread the gospel of what we're talking about here on the Seventh Year Over Rev show, that would be great because it helps our show partners out, both Dick Carriers as well as Kraus Meats. And we're doing great things on the audio only side. We're closing in on 10,000 downloads all time, and we're heard in 114 countries. We'd love to be able to see those same results on the YouTube side. So your help in that would be greatly appreciated so we can continue to have great conversations like we're having today with Kelly. So, Kelly, this whole construct for, and it's maybe a loose term, of the commenting strategy,
Mm-hmm.
does it work the same on any of the social media platforms, or it work better on Facebook, or does it work better on LinkedIn, or does it work better on X or Twitch or TikTok or anything like that? Do you know? I mean, have you been able
It
to get
works
that
on
much?
it works on all the platforms. I don't have a lot of time with trying to run an entire business, so I have
Yeah, no kidding.
myself focused. I have only focused on Facebook and LinkedIn, but I know the strategy does work on other platforms as well, especially Instagram because it's almost the same algorithm as Facebook. So commenting on people's photos on Instagram and never sell anything. Like that's the biggest piece is you need to just comment and be part of the conversation. And by doing that, you raise the capability of that person's post to be seen by more people because the algorithm, especially on LinkedIn, the algorithm on LinkedIn counts comments higher than it does just a post that is out there. If there's a lot of interactions, it'll live on LinkedIn longer. So by adding comments, you help the person gain more traction in the algorithm. Plus, they see you, and I would say odds are they're going to look at your profile if they've never seen you before. Like, I do it all day long on LinkedIn. And I have watched my profile views go from like 15, 20 to now I get about 90 to 100 profile views in a week now, where before it used to be 10 or 20. And that's because I'm constantly on LinkedIn just stating and talking to people and commenting and all that. And there have been some posts that I have posted, like the one about my logo appearing on the first race car of hopefully many. That one's
Yes,
still
we have
getting,
that.
yeah. Do you?
Yes. Yes, we
Yep,
do.
there it
There it
is.
is.
Yep, that is one of my race teams. I'm actually building his site now. It's Caden Ballos. He is hoping to run the Cars Tour in 2026,
Nice.
and yeah, I'm excited that that's from a Steam event near Charlotte, and you can actually see Caden in the background there. Good kid, great
Indeed.
family.
That's a great looking car
Yeah.
too. It's a great looking
Yeah, it
car.
is. It's a sweet looking car. Although I do realize where my logo is, the exhaust is probably going to get all over it, and that's kind of what I wanted. I like to see my. I always like to tell them I like seeing my logo with tire marks on it.
Well, and if they run any like where it's getting late in the day and at dusk and you can see the flames coming out of it,
Yeah,
you're gonna be on fire. You're gonna be en fuego, Kelly, unstoppable.
nice.
Hey, so
So
I got to tell you, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. That's fine.
As you're telling me this story about the importance of commenting and how it's increased your own views through the course of let's say a week. I think that's typically what LinkedIn reports back on is like, oh, your
Hmm.
number of views this last week or the number of people have seen your profile. I didn't even think about this, but a few weeks ago, probably closer to a month ago now, and you may have even seen this post. Somebody posted a video of some guy doing heel and toe downshifting, and it was a video of his feet in the footwell, and it was the most ridiculous thing ever. He was crossing his left foot over his right, and it looked like a
Oh
tap
yeah,
dance
I've
routine.
seen
And it
it.
was,
Yeah,
remember that one? And I
yeah.
commented on it, and I'm like, or actually, somebody else had commented on it. And I said, "Thank you so much for saying what everybody else is thinking." And then I posted something. I'm like, "This is the most ridiculous thing ever. There's no way this is could be real. It is entertaining though." And I didn't think anything of it at the time. It was just the post was like so outrageous. I had to say something. And in that next week, my profile views exploded just from that. And the light switch didn't even go on until we're having this very conversation right now.
Yeah,
So
that's the algorithm liking that you're commenting and participating in the conversations.
fair enough. See, learn something new here at the Seventh Gear Over Rev Show. You can teach somebody something, even me.
There you go.
Uh, so, Kelly, when you talk about posting, regardless of what platform you're using, do you tell people, even though your focus is on the website and trying to direct people back from whatever social media platforms they're using to the website, do you tell them there's a certain, like, you should post daily or you should post X number of times a day, or is there a right or a wrong way to do it, or does it really not even matter as long as you're getting comments or you're commenting?
You have to find, you have to experiment and find when your audience is most likely to be on. I know with LinkedIn, I have found that as long as I post, say, by 9:30 in the morning, and then I would drop another one at around noon, and this is all Eastern time. For those of you guys on the West Coast, you have to kind of moderate it to your own time frames and stuff. But like I have found those to work. I have posted stuff on LinkedIn at 7:30, but no one's really on at that point because that platform is that way. If you post at say 7:30, 8 o'clock at night on Facebook, you get a whole lot more traffic than you would if you do it at 9 in the morning. Um, so each site has its own rhythm to it. When your audience is most likely on it, it matters. Um, but if you get interactions, I have found posts on LinkedIn tend to linger in the algorithm and the feed for weeks afterwards if they've had a lot of uh, what I call interactions, meaning someone liked it, someone commented, someone shared it, someone celebrated it or loved it or whatever. That interaction, if you get a bunch of those early on in your post, I have seen like there's one post that's still getting interactions, and I posted it 2.5 weeks ago, and
Oh,
there are
wow.
some that I posted last week that get no traffic anymore.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So with the clients that you're working with that you have signed to support them and build their websites. Have you had to have conversations with them about with their social media stuff? Maybe it's misguided, it's not active enough, or it's you're posting all the wrong ways, and kind of pull back on that a little bit to spend a little bit more time focusing on that home base of their own website.
Um, Not really as much as I thought I might need to. I had one client where I had to via email. We were going back and forth discussing ideas, um, and she has a huge following on Facebook, and it really was, look, that's great, but if Facebook changes the algorithm, you're toast if you don't adjust, and
Right.
you could be doing the same thing that you did a month ago, but they changed the algorithm. And so now what works a month ago doesn't work now. So I
Right.
had
And
to
then
have that
you lose
conversation of
followers,
it. Hmm?
and then lose followers, right?
Correct.
Because it
Yeah.
seems like in this day and age of modern motorsports marketing, you look at drivers like, let's say, Hallie Deegan for an example. So much of the sponsorship that they are able to get is they're showing these sponsors, how many followers they have, what their reach is, how many videos they've had go viral. But to your point, if the algorithm changes, all of a sudden now maybe half of those people see you that didn't see you before, but yet you've sold yourself to whether it's Monster Energy drink or somebody else on these numbers that, to me, and you would know better than I am because I'm not in that aspect of the business, but it seems to me like those are almost false numbers. It's almost like you're
Mhm.
propping up that aspect of things. And how do you protect yourself from that?
Well, so the one thing you have to understand is about 2 years ago, TikTok changed everything. When TikTok came in and their algorithm, it changed the landscape of social media and how you get seen, to the point that you don't have to have a huge follower count to have people see your posts, because it depends on what you're writing about, what you're posting, and if it's interest to the person looking at it, it'll show up in their feed. Not necessarily because they're following you, but because they're following a bunch of other people in the motorsports industry. And the algorithm goes, hey, you like this stuff in the motorsports, you might like this too. And that's literally how the algorithms work now. So, have you ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk?
Oh yeah, I love
Um,
Gary.
yeah, so he's been preaching about this for the last year to year and a half, that it's attention media, not follower counts, that get the what's the right word, the boost in people's algorithm, and their whether or not their posts get seen. Boy, I stumbled on that one.
Gotcha. That's all right. I think we got what you meant. I think we got what you meant. At least I did. I think seventh year over fans are able to suss that one out. But yeah, you're 100% right. And it's funny as you're talking about that, Kelly. I think about back when I was first starting to race, longer ago than I care to admit. But it was back in the day when, we didn't really have website. I mean, yeah, there were websites, but you didn't really have websites as much. The preferred method of motorsports marketing was you actually put together a hard folder paper marketing deck and proposal. I had beautiful ones, and you had to go to the printer and you had to get folders made and you had to get all this other stuff. And then it sort of shifted. Maybe you could send them, oh, the hot new ticket. You could send them a CD with all of your stuff and photos and things on it. And then it was just, you had emails, and then, the website started to be more of a thing, but then it kind of got overshadowed by all the social media stuff. But and you built your first website back in what, the late 90s or early 2000s,
Hmm.
somewhere in there. You've seen the
Yep.
evolution of this, whether it's motorsports clients or non-motorsports clients. Where do you see the trends going from where you started to where you're at now and into the future?
I've
I know
seen
it's a
that.
multi-layered question there.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen website designs change, and quite honestly, I'm trying to push I'm trying to push motorsports web design in a different direction. Um, Most websites have always been very cookie cutter, very stylistic. Like you have your header, you have your big image, you have your about. Like I'm trying to do different things where I'm using video amongst the websites. I'm trying to have headlines and different things. So I'm taking the modern approach to web design and trying to apply it to the motorsports industry, especially to race drivers and teams, to get them where a potential sponsor lands on their site and that potential sponsor goes, this person understands what they needed to do to build a website.
Well, and it almost sounds to me like it's like in the past, a website was a website. It was just sort of almost generic, for lack of a better term. And then you
Mm-hmm.
had your social media stuff that had your videos and your links and all that stuff that was sort of like the bells and whistles to it. So it almost sounds like where you're coming from is kind of making that a one-stop shop where you've got all the
Mm-hmm.
videos, all the cool other stuff, maybe a little bit of a flavor of your social media stuff all in one place. So to your point, if you've engaged with a sponsor or they've even caught your name, maybe you dropped a sticker at a race and they thought it was a cool sticker, so they looked you up. Then they go, okay, maybe this person actually has got their crap together, right? And they're worth having a second look at.
Correct. And one of the other aspects that I'm trying to build is the design side, but also the sponsorship search side. No matter if you have enough sponsors or not, you can always need more, or you need to maintain a possible pipeline of potential sponsors and stuff, so that um, if some of those companies call you up and say, "Hey, by the way, we're not going to be able to do next year. You have a pipeline of other sponsors to go to." So one of the things that I'm building into these drivers and teams websites is having that sponsor prospectus that you said before you used to have on a CD or have it hardbound, a report done. I'm now building that into the website. And you're not necessarily going to put out the prices for things, but you're going to tell the sponsors exactly what they get. And so the idea is so that the driver can have business cards, add a QR code to it. And if you're at a networking event, or if you're at the racetrack and someone walks up to your trailer, it's like, hey, we're looking to sponsor somebody. Well, here's my card. Use the QR code, and you'll learn exactly what you get for the different tiers of sponsorships. It reduces the wall between them and you to make that connection work better.
Makes perfect sense. And again, as we're talking about that, I was telling you how I was just doing hot laps for AMG out at the SRO event at the Speedway here this past weekend. Case in point, exactly what you said, Kelly. We've got a QR code on the rear quarter window. You take your phone out, scan that image, and it takes you right to the AMG website. So you understand exactly what you're going to get. In that case, it makes sense they put the pricing in, but you get directly to it, right? So this is like, as we're talking about this is more kind of next level stuff, right? As you said, there's I don't know of any team that turns away sponsorship, because you could always use more,
Right.
or you need to, it's relationship building. But this is what I love about how you're marrying these different concepts under one roof, so to speak. Because I think I saw in one of your posts, it's like, yeah, there's a million different drivers out there from various ages and classifications of racing series that are looking for money. Sponsors could give two shits about it, right? Everybody's coming to them looking for money, but they do like what's in it for them. What's their ROI going to be? They like the story, and they'll like all of that even better if they like you. And that's where that whole
Mm-hmm.
relationship building comes back into play. So I think it's a fantastic strategy.
Yeah, and I don't want to. I would like to also offer that local networking can be more powerful than anyone can really understand. Um, I've offered that. I've mentioned that to a couple of my drivers and teams, and I'm starting to talk to about things. And they're like, wait, I've never considered that. But I can tell you from experience, I took Brady to a local networking event, and I've been going to a lot of networking events for the last 2 or 3 years for my company and building P1 web development locally. But also, I went to this one event, and it had almost 400 people at it. And I took Brady there, and he was nervous. He's like, "What are we gonna? How's this gonna work?" And I started taking around to the people I knew. Hey, this is Brady. Oh, this is the race driver one, right? Yes. And so it started a conversation. And after about 3 hours of doing this, my son came back to me and said, that was fun. I can't believe how much fun I had talking racing and how engaged so many of these people who just either just knew who you were or uh, didn't know me. But we had a friend of mine who was even more connected in the networking community start introducing us to people. You need to talk to this person. He runs this company. And before you know it, the next morning I'm sending out 4 associate sponsor prospectus out to
Bingo.
people that we got to talk to at a local free networking event.
That's fantastic. And I think, I love hearing that kind of stuff. And the fact that you exposed Brady to it early on and that he had a positive experience with it. I think so many drivers, and you know this as well as I do. We've both talked about it. It's like they would rather be focused on, you know, the budget for the next race, the tires, the track, coaching services, whatever. It's almost like those things that are as important, if not more important than the on track product are, it's almost like it's too hard for them. It's too much of an imposition, yet it can have the greatest impact. And I'm glad to hear people saying that they do it and that it works, because I just feel like sometimes race car drivers get lazy and they'd rather just go to the track, get in the car, drive, and go home.
Well, and depending what happens in that time at the track, if there's a lot of damage to the car or they have to really work their tails off during the next week to get back out on the track, you can understand that aspect of it, of being too busy to be able to go to networking events. But the reality of it is, if you want business partners, they're at these events. And sometimes it may not be large corporations, but they're big local companies, and they're probably the ones that'll want to sponsor you. And if you go to these events and you share with them what you do and you make that connection that you mentioned, that we've been talking about here, of that personal connection, you never know what may or may not happen with it.
Well, that's 100% true. And you may or may not know, but you will never know if you don't make the effort.
Correct.
Wow. There's so much to so many things to consider now, and it's interesting to see how that aspect of motorsport has evolved, beyond just trying to figure out how to get into a race car, let alone make any moves up the ladder. But so in terms of P1
Mm-hmm.
and that whole just the business aspect of it. So where do you guys feel like you're at right now? What's next? What's next for P1? Where does P1 go now? Now that you're really kind of getting a firm hold of things and you've got a pretty good, at least initial client list and some stuff in the pipeline. What's the future look like for P1, or what would you like to see it look like?
Well, I do have a goal of having 20 drivers on my sponsorship program by the end of 2026. So that's the big goal, to have my logo running
And
on 20 different race cars throughout the country.
and how many do you have now?
Well, one officially that's been released, and
Okay.
there's 5 more in the works of people I'm building their sites with. Obviously, a lot of them are in the off season, so they haven't done the new schemes for next year that'll include my logo. So right now, I'm up to 6 total drivers teams and it's going to be on a sprint car in Minnesota. It's on a 600cc micro here in PA. It's going to be hopefully on an ARCA series car, a tour modified, a cars tour car, which is where Caden is looking to run. So I'm looking to just keep adding and adding and adding. And that's all part of my sponsorship program that I have where drivers can get a free website in exchange for running my logo on their car. Now, there's also the $50 a month to keep the lights on and do everything, and I run all the updates to the site and I manage it all for them. And then on their side, they have to have a strong social media presence where they're tagging and they're posting my posts and I'm posting theirs, and it's a back and forth with that. Um, so that's that's the program I'm running, and that is really what has turned my business around. Has been that particular program. But yeah, the goal is 20 teams by the end of 2026, and at the rate I'm going, I might make that goal well before the end of 2026.
That's awesome, dude. I love hearing stories like that. And I'm glad you said that some of the different cars that you're involved with right now, because I was going to ask you, I mean, could you see being part of, like a IMSA sports car program or IndyCar
Oh, I
program, Indy
wish.
Lights, anything like
Oh,
that?
my boys and I love the IMSA series. We go up to Watkins Glen every year and are up in the garage area. And we had a blast this past year up at Watkins Glen because with me starting the business, I had some drivers that I was meeting that I had time to meet with up at the track. And best memory I ever had, Colin Queen, who drives in the Super Trofeo series, invited us under the tent, so we got to walk around the car. And then one of the team members allowed my son, RJ, to climb into the Super Trofeo race car, and the smile on his face, what a priceless memory. So yeah, the IMSA series is close to my heart because we've been going up to the Glen since 2017, and have been in the garage area quite a bit. And one of the other shows that I actually sponsored, called Off in the S's, with Stu. I've been sponsoring his show, and he does a great job covering the IMSA series.
Wow. And I mean, how cool. The fact that you've been going for years and you got to have this experience with your sons. That's what it's all about, man. And at the end of the day, now you're able to make this a burgeoning concern. Kudos to you, man. That's a great job. Keep it up,
Thank you.
man. All right. So, seventh year over at fans, as we get close to throwing the checkered flag here on this week's episode, we're having a great conversation with the man that's running the P1 Web Development Company. Great conversation we're having with Kelly Flieger. Kelly, before we sign off for the day, is there anything that we didn't get to that I somehow forgot to ask you about, or that you wanted to talk about?
Not really. Other than one of the keys you asked some of the keys that allowed my business to grow, and a lot of it is the fact that I've been a race fan and loving racings. I went to my first tracks when I was 6 years old. My dad took me to a local dirt track here, so I got
Heck
bit by
yeah.
the racing bug when I was little, and I have loved it ever since. So, um, starting the company, the logo has been the same that it's been. The one is modeled after a number on the side of a dirt modified that used to race here. So there's a lot of racing that I have incorporated into the business since the day it opened. But that passion that I have for the track and being there at the track as often as I can get there, which this year I think we went to about 6 or 7 races, my kids and I did. It's the most rewarding, most enjoyable aspect of building this business has been meeting all the wonderful people in the motorsports industry. So in all that, to say that if anyone is on the fence about a website, just talk to me. We'll talk racing and hang out, and then we'll talk a little bit about websites.
So I'm guessing that the best way to contact you, Kelly, is through a website, maybe?
Yes, it's p1webdevelopment.com. And you can also email me directly at kelly@p1webdevelopment.com. And it's P with the number 1. Hey, there it is. Cool. Thanks, guys. So
Heck yeah. We got you.
that's how you can get a hold of me directly. You can also find me on LinkedIn, and P1 Web Development on Facebook as well. Those are the places where you can find me. But yeah, hit me up, man. Anyone even remotely interested in a website, let's just talk, and let's talk racing, because that's really what I enjoy doing. One of my clients, just a quick story of talking to him. We talked about his team and how he built his team with his son and all the stuff they did with running tour type modifieds. And we talked for 45 minutes about racing. And then, oh yeah, by the way, I called you about a website. Let's talk about that. And we maybe talked 15 minutes
Right?
and we had the deal secured. So it just goes to show that I love just to talk racing, and also to show that making that human connection with somebody matters more than what you can get from that person, and more than what you can give to that person. It's just that human networking connection that matters.
No truer words have ever been spoken, Kelly. That's 1,000% true, and I love it. And then seventh year over fans, we're all race fans here. You know what it's like when you find somebody else, you may not know them, but you find out that they're a race fan, and there's commonality right there, and conversations that can go on for hours or days or even years, even if you don't see them. But then, Kelly, kudos to you, man. You're doing some great work there. You're putting together some great life lessons, some great strategies, kind of reconnecting with people as opposed to just through digital platforms. And I love everything you had to say about that. And we wish you nothing but the continued success that you're enjoying right now. And it's all because of you and the hard work that you're putting in, and the lessons that you've learned and are teaching, and those personal interactions. So keep up the great work, man. And thanks for being on the show this week. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the time.
We look forward to having Kelly back on, and hopefully sometime in the very near future. But this guy knows his stuff. I can tell you that. He's got it figured out. Well, at least mostly. None of us have it totally figured out, but this guy's on it. He gets it. He'll help you out. Have a conversation with him. Find him on LinkedIn. Email him, p1webdevelopment.com. And boy, we have had a very busy show today, a very busy week here at the Seventh Year Over Rev Show. So once again, big thanks to our friends and partners over at KrausMeats.com for all those great artisan handcrafted old school wieners, sausages, meats, you name it. Get ready for the holiday season by visiting them at KrausMeats.com. And also our good friends and partners over at Dick Carriers with Respect Your Package. Put in that discount code RESPECT7 for those high-end breathable men's underwear. Again, respectfully scandalous and unapologetic. And stay tuned for the next episode of the greatest spectacle in podcasting. See ya.